everyone. I'm Robin Cartwright.
And I'm Liz Bernstein. And for this episode of Martin County Matters, we're going to be talking about traffic. Oh, what's up with traffic?
What is up with traffic?
There's been a lot of it.
Yeah.
So some of you might have watched our Martin County Moment where we talked about the development process, and these traffic studies are a part of that process. So the developer or whoever is going to actually be developing the site has to submit a traffic study with their proposal, how it's going to affect the city, the surrounding area, and whatnot.
Exactly. It's been confirmed that the traffic consultant is not required to include any pending developments as part of their traffic study. And the county and the city do not require that either. So things are not looked at holistically. They're viewed very much in a silo for that project. And the argument has been, but what if that doesn't get built? Why would you punish the applicant for something? Well, chances are something will get built, and we should be very forward-thinking and inclusive of everything that's been approved. So case in point, when the Cantor CPUD, where the Costco is going to go, was approved, the traffic consultant did not include Bridgeview, now Indigo of Stuart, which is literally catty corner across the street. And so when that traffic study was done, 212 units worth of people will live at Bridgeview. They were not part of that traffic study for the Cantor CPUD. And the argument was, well, it doesn't exist. Nobody lives there.
Right.
Ground had been broken. It was obviously going to be built. Something was going to go there. And yet it was not part of the decision making because they didn't want to punish the applicant for that.
Yeah, I mean, that's just a disgrace. The fact that, we're literally biasing development applications to approve more development because we are ignoring
other development that you've already approved.
Yeah, absolutely. That's so disingenuous.
It very much is. So some of the information that we looked at when preparing for this was from the Census Bureau. And so in 2019, the commute time in Martin County was self-reported by people who live in Martin County at 22.3 minutes. And in 2022, that same group of individuals or like individuals reported that their commute time was 26.5 minutes. And so we're already seeing an increase in that short 3 years. And this is without any of the developments that have been approved probably in the last 2 to 3 years coming online.
Right. Plus how many people have moved to our state.
Right.
Since,
not even inclusive of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So one of the things that is also looked at when it comes to a traffic study and that we should be looking at as consumers who live here is the roadway level of service inventory report. And what this information is it's gleaned from the Department of Transportation, the Florida Department of Transportation, and it's kind of used as a grading system. There's an A through F grading system. It includes the letter E, which I think is weird, but it does exist. A being absolutely the best, the roadway is clear, traffic is minimal, it flows in a way that is really wonderful and easy for people. F being obviously it is failing. And so you can see here, we just pulled a small snippet from State Road 76, which is Cantor Highway. And you can see from Jack James Drive to Cove Road, it has a level of C, which means it's average. It's not great, but it's not the worst.
I wasn't allowed to get C's.
Me either.
That would not be acceptable in my house.
Right. Well, then this is really unacceptable in everybody's house. On Cove Road between State Road 76 and Willoughby Boulevard, it is currently rated an F.
Oh.
And again, this is without all of the other developments that have been approved.
And that is my personal experience with that intersection as well.
Right.
It is a failure.
It is a failure, absolutely. And so one of the important things to note, as we alluded to earlier, is that these developments are approved in silos because, again, God forbid we should punish the developer who is applying for a project instead of holistically looking at the planning that should take place in the community.
But even that word punish is purposely chosen by our government to make us feel like we're inflicting harm on this corporation, right? Or this developer, when really we're just taking in all the information that's actually going to affect our entire community.
Well, and we have development planners. They are paid government employees at the city and at the county level who are supposed to plan. That's their job. And so it's interesting to me that a planner can come in and present on behalf of a developer to a commission and say that they are not necessarily for a project, but they don't necessarily see a problem with the project. because we're not looking future forward enough to say, oh my gosh, all of these things are going to be built, and then what? And then what do we do? I know, like, you and I had a discussion before we taped today that, you know, we joke about like, oh, when I was growing up here and, you know, when I walked uphill in the snow both ways, you know, even just driving to visit friends.
Yeah, so I grew up in Martin Downs, and my parents bought there in 1995. It really didn't take us much time at all. It didn't take me a lot of time to get to my middle school or my high school. And now that same trip, I'm doing it with friends or friends' kids, it's at least twice as long. And the aggravation is exponential, right?
Yeah.
And so time is one thing, but the amount of, you know, just maneuvering and other drivers on the road that feel entitled, you know, has also increased.
Yeah, and I think it's safe to say that nobody is anti-growth. I think the argument is, the valid argument is that things need to be better planned. They need to be thoughtful, they need to be forward-thinking, so that we're not dealing with the ramifications of an overdeveloped area like we've seen south of us in Miami and Dade County and in Broward County. And I think that's one of the reasons we thought this topic was so important, was because we have all of these pending developments that are coming online in the next probably 2 to 3 years, and we're going to continue to feel the impact of those things like traffic.
Right. And honestly, I just think the general public does not realize how biased some of these processes are. And if we're really trying to take in the whole community, we should have better data that we're putting into it. And so completely ignoring you know, a development that's already been broken ground on,
Right.
is to me, it's bad practice, right? I mean, you cannot make, every time you omit a piece of data like that, your prediction becomes that much worse.
Right.
And so we're trying to predict what might happen with traffic, but we're purposely omitting data so that it looks rosier. But
Right.
then we're surprised when we're waiting in traffic for 26.5 minutes.
Right. Or you're sitting at a traffic light wondering why you can't make the light.
Right.
Yeah. Well, it is an ongoing discussion, and we look forward to having more of these discussions with you. And thank you for joining us for Martin County Matters.